Okay. Well, this is probably going to be a little bit disjointed, particularly in the interest of starting a fight. So we can actually argue about something afterwards. But it's probably best to start off with the wonderful Unite Against Fascism, who apparently have inflicted a humiliating defeat on the Nazis in Brum, a rally which included everyone from a very exciting sounding NAS UWT speaker to Birmingham City supporters even, which is a real popular front. And by the end, by 7 p.m, Birmingham's Bullring shopping centre was under the control of blacks, Asians, trade unionists and socialists. So there we have it. We have a Soviet in the Bullring shopping centre in Birmingham. It all sounds terrifically banal. We all have been on these pickets. We've all heard the intellectually scintillating chants of Nazi scum and off our streets, all the rest of it. And we all kind of know that nobody really thinks the BNP are Nazis. Maybe some lost Combat 18 members think the BNP are still Nazis or something, like if they're hiding in the foothills of Japan like that soldier who didn't stop fighting the Second World War for 50 years. But the fact is, nobody really takes it seriously. The basis of the political strategy is effectively the slogan, we need the broadest unity possible to fight the BNP. I mean, on one level that's a truism. In any given situation you want the broadest unity possible, but if that's not limited by well, it always is limited by a political basis, is a better way to put it. It just depends which political basis you have it on. The UAF political basis, it's clear from this article for anyone who has had it passed around to them, is official kind of state multiculturalism, official state anti-racism, which obviously leads them into effectively alliances with they always complain that the cops are defending the fascists and not them, but the fact is the fascists aren't demanding the SWP or banned at the moment, bizarrely. We're in a situation where every time a prominent BNP member comes out, there are hysterical articles in Socialist Worker demanding that these people are either sacked from their jobs, up to including, as we know, ballerinas. The English national, was it a ballerina or yeah, it was a ballerina rather than opera singer, or demanding political leaders are sent to prison. Now, the fact is, we know this stuff doesn't work. UAF was formed in 2003 or 4 kind of thing, out of the ashes, out of the fusion of the SWP's old anti-Nazi league and the Socialist Action's National Assembly Against Racism. Socialist Action, obviously, or an organisation who most well known for secretly running Ken Livingstone's mayoral office for its 10-year run, and effectively just making themselves useful to to sort of soft left Labourites. The fact is, that is what UAF is. It is useful to soft left Labourites. The soft left Labourites get some free sort of progressive publicity for themselves by turning up and fighting the fascist threat. Meanwhile, the same goes for the trade union bureaucrats, the very, very exciting NAS speaker that we seem to have had at the Bullring. And the SWP is interested in it to build their own organisation. We mustn't forget the oh-so-important Love Music, Hate Racism concerts, in which you can be told not to be a BNP Nazi by the likes of the Kaiser Chiefs. Obviously, they're into it to further their musical careers as much as anything else. Just about the only thing that nobody's interested in is actually fighting fascists. And the thing is, if we go back into the roots of the strategy, Not obviously the conscious roots, because these comrades all come from the Trotskyist tradition, which obviously we'll get to. But the most sterling precedent is obviously the Popular Frontist. The Popular Front's devised on one level by the Stalinized Comintern, particularly associated with Georgy Dimitrov in 1935. The basic background to it is obviously in Germany, the KPD, the Communist Party, had systematically refused to do any joint work with the Social Democratic Party on the basis that the Social Democratic Party were fascists. They were social fascists. It was a different kind, and the whole capitalism was in such a parlor state. And well, they weren't wrong about it being in a parlor state, obviously, in the late 20s and early 30s. That effectively the bourgeois, everyone who wasn't a communist in reality was going to inevitably drift towards fascism. And as this went on, it got more and more ludicrous in the sense that it was possible. There were several instances of communists and Nazis, although they were obviously fighting in the streets a lot, but also kind of turning up on like anti-SPD pickets together or whatever, because the SPDs are a bigger threat. This obviously contributed in no small part to Hitler seizing power. And once it becomes clear that Hitler isn't going anywhere in the immediate term, and the whole thing has been a complete disaster, we have one of the characteristic wrenching turns of Stalinist politics, in which Dimitrov dresses a Congress of the Comintern in 1935, and effectively, in standard style character, we have repeatedly said communists will not criticise all the other organisations interested in fighting fascism. We will only criticise the enemies of unity. So this gets road tested as such in France and Spain. I mean, Spain is a more directly relevant example because the Civil War was very much posed, because of the era as much as anything else, as a battle between democracy or any kind of semi-progressive thing whatsoever and fascism, another front line in the fight against fascism. The thing is, obviously, we lost the Spanish Civil War, and so to backtrack a bit, what happened was the communists, even the anarchists, bizarrely, did all sign up to a cross-class government. There was bourgeois parties involved. There was the socialists, the communists, and the anarchist trade union, the CNT, and effectively they were very heavily reliant on material support from Moscow, and Moscow moved against the more revolutionary elements in the coalition, and effectively made it impossible for a successful military strategy to be adopted. I mean, there's a wonderful section in Orwell's On March to Catalonia where he basically just explains that if the Spanish governor had said like Lincoln to the slaves, "You are free," because Spain has a colony in Morocco, and that's actually where Franco's base is. That's where he launched his invasion from. Suddenly, Franco is fighting on two fronts. But the fact is, the Soviet Union at that time is cultivating diplomatic ties with France. And if you say Morocco is free, then suddenly that causes problems for Algeria and the other French colonies in North Africa. So this is ruled out. And a million other things are ruled out because, once again, like our modern day trade union bureaucrats who aren't really interested in the BNP, like our modern day SWPers who aren't even really interested in the BNP, the fact is that because it exists effectively as a state project, inevitably the Popular Front is designed to be wielded in the service of the Soviet bureaucracy.